Emily sat at the kitchen table, staring at the envelope in front of her. The handwriting, slightly slanted, undeniably familiar, sent chills down her spine. It was her husband's writing. But that was impossible. Daniel had been gone for exactly 1 year. Her fingers trembled as she reached for the envelope, hesitating before peeling it open. Inside, a single sheet of paper. His words stared back at her. Emily. If you're reading this, it means I'm no longer with you. But there's something you need to know, something I couldn't tell you before. You deserve the truth. Her breath hitched. She swallowed hard, forcing herself to continue reading. Find the key. Follow the instructions. Everything will make sense soon. I love you. A key. What key? Emily scanned the envelope again, shaking it until a small, cold piece of metal slipped out, landing on the table with a soft clang. Her heart pounded. What was Daniel hiding? She clutched the key tightly, feeling the weight of it in her palm. A year had passed since she lost him, a year filled with grief, loneliness, and the agonizing attempt to rebuild her life without the man she loved. She thought she had made peace with his absence. Yet here he was, reaching out to her from beyond the grave. Emily stood abruptly, chair scraping against the tile floor. She needed air. She grabbed her coat, stuffing the key into her pocket, and stepped outside. The evening air was crisp, the quiet hum of the neighborhood offering no answers. She walked aimlessly, trying to make sense of it all. Her mind replayed every moment she had spent with Daniel, every kiss, every whispered promise, every silent morning where they simply existed together. They had never kept secrets from each other, or so she thought. Her feet carried her to the park bench where they used to sit, watching the world go by. She pulled the key from her pocket, turning it over in her hands. Where did it belong, back at home? Emily tore through drawers, cabinets, searching for anything resembling a matching lock, but nothing. The key remained a mystery. Frustrated, she collapsed onto the couch, staring at the ceiling. Was there somewhere she had overlooked? Then, it hit her. The storage unit. Daniel had insisted on renting a small storage space downtown, claiming it was for things that didn't fit in their house. She had never questioned it, never even visited. She assumed it was filled with old furniture, forgotten holiday decorations, maybe a few boxes of sentimental items. What if that was where the key belonged, heart racing? Emily grabbed her phone and searched through her emails. She quickly found the receipt from the storage facility, a place she had paid for without a second thought for months. Within minutes, she was in her car, driving through the dimly lit streets toward the unit. Her fingers gripped the steering wheel tightly, knuckles white as she tried to control her breathing. When she arrived, the facility was eerily quiet. Rows of identical doors lined the space, each holding secrets of their own. She located Daniel's unit and pulled out the key. Taking one last deep breath, she slid it into the lock. It fit. The door creaked open, revealing stacks of boxes, some marked, others unlabeled. Emily stepped inside hesitantly, the scent of dust and old memories filling her lungs. She ran her fingers along the edges of a nearby box, tracing Daniel's handwriting on the label for Emily. Her heart clenched. She pulled the box closer, carefully opening the top. Inside, she found photographs, some she recognized, others unfamiliar. Letters, a worn leather notebook, and then something else. A second envelope. With her name on it, Emily's pulse quickened. She picked it up, sliding a finger under the seal. The paper inside was thicker than the first letter, carrying the weight of something far more significant. As she unfolded it, Daniel's handwriting appeared once more. I wanted to tell you the truth in person, but life had different plans. Now, it's up to you whether you want to know everything or close this box and leave it behind. Emily inhaled sharply. Was she ready for this? Was she ready to learn a truth her husband had carried to his grave? Emily sat in the dimly lit storage unit, surrounded by remnants of a life she thought she knew. The second envelope trembled in her hands. Daniel's words weighed heavy on her chest. It's up to you whether you want to know everything or close this box and leave it behind. She could walk away, pretend she had never found this letter. Ignore the key, the storage unit, the past that threatened to unravel before her eyes. But she couldn't. Slowly, she unfolded the paper, her breath shaky, her pulse loud in her ears. Emily, if you're reading this, then you've already found the key. And that means you're ready to know the truth. Ready, she wasn't sure. The letter continued. There were things I kept from you not because I didn't love you, but because I thought I had time to explain everything. Time ran out before I could. Emily blinked, her throat tightening. Daniel had always been honest, always open, so why would he keep something from her? She forced herself to read on. In the bottom drawer, beneath the photographs, there's a box. Open it. Her fingers moved on instinct, pulling open the drawer, and there it was, a small wooden box, darkened with age. Emily's pulse quickened as she lifted it, her fingers brushing over the brass latch. With a deep breath, she opened it. Inside, she found stacks of letters handwritten, neatly folded, each one addressed to her, each one dated years before Daniel's passing. Her breath caught in her throat. Why had he never given these to her? She picked up the first one, unfolding it carefully. Emily. Today, I saw something that changed everything, a name from my past, a past I've kept buried for years. I wanted to tell you, Boo, but I was afraid. She froze, a past buried. A cold shiver ran down her spine. Daniel's past had never seemed mysterious. They met young, built a life together. No secrets, no surprises. Or so she had thought. She reached for another letter. I never wanted to keep this from you. But I don't know how to explain. I don't know how to tell you that the life we built it was almost never mine to have. What did that mean? Emily's heart pounded as she flipped through the letters, searching for an answer. One after another, they spoke of regret, hesitation, fear, a truth Daniel had been too afraid to tell her. She swallowed hard, her hands tightening around the last letter in the stack. If I never get the chance to say this in person, know that I love you, and know that this story, it begins with someone else. Someone else. Emily clenched her jaw, her stomach twisting. She wasn't just uncovering a secret, she was stepping into a life that had never been hers to fully understand. And she had no choice now. She had to keep going. Emily sat in her car outside the storage facility, gripping the letter in her hands. This story, it begins with someone else. The words echoed in her mind, relentless and consuming. Daniel had always told her that she was his first love, his only love. Had he lied? Was there another woman, another life? Her fingers curled tightly around the steering wheel as she inhaled deeply. Trying to steady herself, there was only one way to find out. She forced herself to step back into the storage unit. The air was thick with dust, the scent of forgotten things lingering in the space. The wooden box sat before her silent, unassuming, yet holding all the answers she feared. She picked up the next letter. Her name was Claire. Emily's stomach dropped. I met her when I was 20. She was everything to me. But our love had a price, and I had to make a choice. Claire. Who was she? And what choice had Daniel made? She frantically flipped through the stack, searching for more clues. Each letter unraveled pieces of a puzzle she hadn't even known existed. Claire was my past. You were my future. But the past never truly stays buried. Emily. Sometimes. It waits. Waits for what Emily's breath was shallow, her fingers shaking as she reached for the leather notebook, the one resting at the bottom of the box, worn and faded with age. Daniel's journal. She had never known he kept one. The pages whispered secrets of regrets, of unspoken memories. And then she found it. A photograph tucked between the pages. A woman with dark curls and a warm smile. Claire. Emily exhaled sharply. The truth wasn't just a theory anymore. It had a face. Emily sat frozen in her car, gripping the photograph tightly. Claire. The woman who had somehow held a piece of Daniel's past of his heart. The leather journal trembled in her lap as she stared at the face before her. Claire was beautiful. Soft curls framed her face, and her eyes held a warmth Emily recognized, the same warmth that had once drawn her to Daniel. She flipped the photograph over, and her breath caught in her throat. On the back, written in Daniel's unmistakable handwriting, were the words, "I never meant to leave her. And I never stopped loving her." Emily felt the world tilt beneath her. The air in the car became suffocating, pressing against her chest, forcing her to grasp at logic, at reason. Daniel loved Claire, had always loved her, even while loving Emily. She clenched the photograph tightly, a bitter taste rising in her throat. The letters, the storage unit, the secrets was everything, just proof that their marriage had been a lie. She turned back to the leather journal, flipping urgently through the pages, searching for more. One entry stood out. Claire. I promised you once that I would come back, that I would make things right. But I failed. I lost you before I ever had the chance to fix what was broken. Emily could hardly breathe. She shut the journal, pressing her palms against her forehead, trying to quiet the storm inside her mind. How could Daniel have never told her this? She had spent years believing she was the only one, that their love had been sacred, pure, untouched by the shadows of the past. But now, she wasn't so sure. Her fingers brushed the edges of the journal once more. If she kept reading, would she find more? Would she uncover a truth she couldn't bear to know? Or had she already seen enough? Emily sat in silence, staring at the name scribbled onto the page. Claire. She whispered it under her breath, as if saying it aloud would somehow summon the ghost of this woman from Daniel's past. A past she never knew existed. She thought back to the years she spent with her husband. The laughter, the long walks, the way he used to hold her close during thunderstorms. Had all of it been a lie? No, she refused to believe that. But doubt had already started sinking its claws into her mind. Her fingers trembled as she turned the page, scanning Daniel's words, desperate for an explanation. I never wanted to keep this from you. But I was a coward. Emily. I thought I had moved on, that I had buried Claire's memory deep enough that she would never resurface. But I was wrong. Emily's throat tightened. Claire wasn't just a passing thought or a fleeting love. She was someone Daniel had tried to forget, someone he failed to forget. Why had he never told her? Why did it take death for the truth to come out? She pulled another letter from the stack, unfolding it carefully. I was supposed to marry her. Emily's breath hitched. Claire and I had plans, dreams. She was the first person I ever loved, and I hurt her in ways I never forgave myself for. Plans, dreams. Had Daniel ever looked at Emily and thought about Claire instead? She shut her eyes, squeezing the letter in her hands. This wasn't just about discovering a past love. It was about questioning everything she thought she knew about the man she had spent years loving. I need you to understand, Emily. I loved you, with everything in me. But Claire was my unfinished story. Unfinished. The word rang in her ears. Daniel hadn't closed the door on Claire before marrying Emily. He had simply walked into a new life, carrying the weight of an unresolved past. Emily swallowed hard. She had to find Claire. Emily stared at the final letter in her hands. Daniel's words echoed in her mind. Claire was my unfinished story. She had spent years believing their love was unbreakable, that she was the center of his world. But now, the truth was unraveling before her. Daniel had carried the weight of another woman in his heart, and somehow, she had never seen it. Her fingers trembled as she pulled out another envelope from the box. This one was different. The edges were worn, the ink slightly smudged. It wasn't addressed to her. It was addressed to Claire. Emily's breath hitched. Had Daniel ever sent this letter? Had Claire ever read his words? She unfolded it slowly. Claire, I should have told you the truth long ago. I should have explained why I walked away. But fear kept me silent. Guilt kept me distant. And love kept you in my heart even when I tried to forget. Emily's pulse quickened. I was supposed to marry you. I was supposed to give you forever, but I failed. Her stomach twisted. Daniel had left Claire. He had chosen to walk away. But why? She forced herself to keep reading. When I met Emily, I thought I had finally escaped my past. I convinced myself that a new love would heal me. And it did, in ways I never expected, but it never erased you. Emily clenched her jaw. Daniel hadn't just remembered Claire. He had loved her, even after marrying Emily. A painful lump formed in her throat. She had spent years living in the shadow of a love she never knew existed. Daniel had built a life with her, while carrying the echoes of another woman in his heart. Had she ever truly known him? Had she ever truly been his first choice? Her hands tightened around the paper. If Claire had received this letter, what would she have done? Would she have responded? Would she have fought for him? Or had she walked away? Just as Daniel had once done, Emily swallowed hard. She had to know. She had to find Claire. Emily's hands trembled as she gripped the letter. She had spent years believing she was Daniel's one true love, his final choice. But now, she knew that wasn't entirely true. There had been Claire, and worse, there had been unfinished business between them. Emily swallowed hard, staring at the name on the page. Claire. Daniel's lost love. She had to find her. She had to know if Claire ever received his letter, if she had responded. If there was a truth that had been hidden even deeper. Emily sat in front of her laptop, fingers hovering over the keyboard. She typed the name slowly. Claire Henderson. Her breath hitched as she hit enter. A flood of search results appeared: articles, social media profiles, even an obituary. Emily froze. An obituary. Her heartbeat quickened as she clicked the link. There, printed in neat, sorrowful text, was the confirmation she wasn't expecting. Claire had passed away 3 years ago, before Daniel. Emily's fingers tightened into fists. Had Daniel known? Had he gone to her? Had he ever tried to say goodbye? or had he carried the weight of regret right up until the end? Her throat tightened as she scrolled down the page, searching for more, and then she saw it. A name, survived by her daughter, Anna Henderson. Emily's pulse quickened. Claire had a daughter, and suddenly, everything inside her screamed that she had to find her. Emily sat in the dim glow of her laptop screen, staring at the name, Anna Henderson, Claire's daughter, a piece of Daniel's past that was still living, breathing, waiting somewhere in the world. Emily hesitated before clicking on the profile. Her stomach tightened as a photo loaded a young woman in her mid-20s, smiling beside a framed picture. A picture of Claire. Emily's breath hitched. This girl had no idea that her mother's past was colliding with her future. She scrolled through Anna's page, taking in bits and pieces of her life. She worked in a small bookstore, loved poetry, and Emily froze. One of Anna's recent posts showed a worn leather notebook. Daniel's leather notebook. Emily's hands shook. How did she have it? Was it the same one Emily had found in the storage unit had Daniel sent it to her? Had they been in contact? Emily inhaled sharply, her heart pounding as she stared at the screen. She had to reach out. She had to know the truth. Emily hesitated, her fingers hovering over the keyboard. Anna Henderson, Claire's daughter. A woman who unknowingly held pieces of Daniel's past and possibly the answers Emily had been searching for. She inhaled deeply before typing her first message. Hi, Anna. I know this may be unexpected, but I recently discovered something about my late husband, Daniel White. I believe it may be connected to your mother, Claire. Would you be open to speaking with me? Her heart pounded as she hit send. Minutes stretched into hours. No response. Emily paced her living room, phone clutched in her hands, her mind racing through every possibility. Had she made a mistake? Would Anna even believe her? Just as doubt threatened to consume her. A notification popped up. Anna had replied, "This is unexpected. I've heard my mother mention a Daniel White before, but I don't know much." What exactly have you found? Emily's pulse quickened. She typed furiously, summarizing everything: the letters, the journal, the unspoken love her husband had carried to his grave. Anna took her time responding. Finally, her next message appeared. "I think we need to meet." Emily sat across from Anna in the quiet cafe, her hands wrapped tightly around her cup of tea. Anna watched her carefully, curiosity and caution flickering in her eyes. "You said you found something about my mother." Emily nodded, sliding the worn leather notebook across the table. "This belonged to my husband, Daniel." Anna hesitated before picking it up, flipping through the pages, her brows furrowing as she read. Minutes passed in silence. Then she looked up, confusion settling into her features. "He wrote about my mother." Emily swallowed hard. Not just about her. About the life they had before me. About the love they shared. About the regrets he carried. Anna's fingers tightened around the edges of the book. "I never knew she loved anyone before my father." Emily exhaled shakily. "And I never knew my husband carried her memory for so long." Anna leaned back, processing the weight of the revelation. "So, what does this mean?" Emily studied her carefully. "It means you deserve to know the truth about your mother. And I deserve to know the truth about my husband." Anna remained quiet for a moment, then finally nodded. "Let's figure it out together." And for the first time since receiving the letter, Emily felt the beginnings of closure,